Don't let the small size of the Xiaomi 14 deceive you. This is a powerhouse built into a smaller form factor for people that love to have devices that not only offer flagship processors, flagship cameras, co-engineered with Leica, and of course having some of the latest versions of Android 14 with HyperOS built into this. And I think this is the main feature here. This is a very unique experience that Xiaomi is providing us in a smaller form factor. Well, without further ado, this is TK and this is the Xiaomi 14 5G. I've been using this for the last couple of weeks and I'm actually going to be sharing with you guys some footage of me going to the launch event in Barcelona. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So Xiaomi is releasing two versions of this device. There's the 14 and there's the 14 Ultra. I know the 14 Pro was released in China, but this year it seems like Xiaomi's changing the recipe a little bit. Last year we had the 13 and the 13 Pro released at MWC. This year we're doing the 14 and the 14 Ultra. Now we're going to have a different video on that one a little bit later on, but as far as the Xiaomi 14, again, co-engineered with Leica, we get some of the main benefits that we get there. And of course, 5G connectivity, that's one of the biggest benefits that we get here, and it does actually pick up 5G on you in the US on T-Mobile, and we'll talk about that. Now, in the box, we definitely get the device. There is two different colors of this. Now this one obviously is the beautiful green and definitely one of my favorite color options that we get here. Very reflective and very fingerprint prone, so be careful. But the nice thing about it is they do include a case. So we do have a nice little Xiaomi, basically a Xiaomi logo case on the back here. And of course we have the 90-watt charger that you're able to use. Now this one is the European style charger, just be aware. And of course this will allow us to charge up the battery that we have on this device. We do have a USB-A to USB-C cable that provides us the ability of charging. That's going to connect right there. And that's also going to be able to give us the ability of transferring data off this device to our PC. Now, the one thing to be aware of is that this device is actually featuring a 4,610 milliampere battery. Now, because we have that 90-watt charger in here, that means we can actually go from 0 to 100% in just about 31 minutes. And it actually is absolutely fantastic. A slightly smaller battery, but again, keep in mind the smaller form factor that we get in here. The big thing I'll probably say is overall the camera stack that we have on the back, of course, powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. We have wireless charging, wire charging, of course, in the back. And some of the main experiences in here is that flat experience that we get on the device. Now, it's hard to get it to stand up here, but you can definitely see right there. It is flat and it will stand on a flat surface. The color does permeate to the side as well. It's very good. We have a clean side here on the left side. On the top, we basically have nothing here sitting in there. Then we do have that microphone that typically would have been at the top part sitting here on the side. On the right side, we have a volume rocker, a power button. Of course, on the bottom, we have a bottom firing speaker, the additional microphone, USB-C, and of course, last but not least, the dual SIM card tray that we have at the bottom. Now, before we go ahead and get into the actual UI and talk about a little bit more specs, obviously we have a Leica professional optical lenses, custom image sensors, ultra thin bezels on the side, and we'll get a chance to check those out. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 mobile platform, and of course, crystal-less dynamic 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate with that 90-watt charger or hypercharge that's included in the box. Again, very nice, and of course, Leica and me. Now, I did mention that the fact that this device obviously has a smaller display than the bigger, obviously the Pro or even the Ultra. It's a 6.36 inch display. This is a very nice, it's an AMOLED display, about 460 ppi, and of course LTPO, Adaptive Sync Pro, dynamic with the 1 to 120 Hertz refresh rate OLED, and of course a very nice peak brightness of up to 3000 nits outside. Now, the big thing I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be talking about obviously is that beautiful wallpaper that we have in there. There's going to be a separate video coming in, probably actually before this video goes live on how I was able to do this. But the biggest thing I'll probably say is this. Overall experience on the left, you have the Google feed, very nice, very simple. It is a flat display. There is no curvature on this, and there's a lot of basically flat edges in here, except on the back here when it comes to the grip. So when you're holding it, although it actually has more of a better, flatter grip here and a flatter display in here, it actually feels nice and rounded on the back. It doesn't feel like it's hitting very hard on the hand. The display is very nice, very thin bezel. Again, HyperOS installed in here. You see the same customizations. The settings tab sits in there. We can scroll all the way down, go all the way to the top. Let's go out about device. Now, they do include a screen protector on the top. Again, this is HyperOS, Xiaomi HyperOS running here. Now, most of the Xiaomi devices within the last year or so have already received this update, and it's really nice to see here that it's launching with it. This one obviously is running on Xiaomi 14. It is on top of Android 14, as you can see here. Security patch update as of November, but again, it should be able to update hopefully very soon. Google Play services preloaded in here, the Google feed as we talked about on the left, all the different customizations that we see with HyperOS, and of course the ability of just swiping on the left to open up notifications, swiping on the right opens up the toggles. Going into the settings, pretty much the same. You can go into the system updater, the ability of going in there, checking for software update, mobile network, 5G connectivity. Let's go ahead and disconnect the Wi-Fi just to be able to get it to connect. And as you can see right there, it did connect at 5G here in T-Mobile, well, on T-Mobile in the US. Lock screen configuration, more connectivity options, mobile network, notifications, home screen, display brightness, all the different things that we've seen before. Fingerprint, face data, of course, and of course the fingerprint sensor sitting on the bottom. Battery configuration, again, you log in into your Xiaomi account as well as to your Google account. You have additional configuration here for the quick ball, basically the accessibility, gesture shortcut, and of course the screen recorder, floating window, memory extension. This is going to be the ability of adding additional storage, well, using some storage to expand or basically augment the RAM. So I can go into 8 gigs, I'll say later, but out of the box default, it's set to be 6. So again, more RAM than we really need, but definitely very nice. We have the heart rate sensor that's built into the fingerprint sensor as well. Account sync, OTG functionality. It is turned off, but it does support OTG on the bottom. So a lot of nice customizations and a lot of different experiences that we've seen, and of course to come to expect from Xiaomi and in a smaller form factor. Now what that means essentially is obviously for Geekbench 6, purely for reference, it's 2146 for a single core, 6910 for multi-core, and this was running in the gaming experience. So I added this as a game into the game center, so you're able to customize that, and of course, or you could just jump in there and turn on the performance mode to run the 8 Gen 3 at its full potential. So of course, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the camera. And again, we have a very nice camera stack on the back. Now, the main camera's on the back. Let's go ahead and turn off the display and start talking a little bit on the back. As I mentioned to you guys, fingerprint, absolutely fingerprint prone here. You do need to walk around with the Xiaomi. There is one microphone built in here, and then that additional microphone that we talked about at the top. It is a Leica or co-engineered Leica camera experience that we have in here. So the Leica Vario Semi-Lumix, essentially the main sensor. It's a 23 millimeter equivalent 50 megapixel camera, and it's a wide lens camera. So it gives us the ability of getting a very nice image of the Light Fusion 900 image sensor. That's that custom sensor that we were talking about. And that's going to be the main driver, the main benefit of this experience in there. The second camera that we have is a 75 millimeter equivalent floating lens. It's a 50 megapixel and 32 megapixel, basically total effective telephoto camera that gives us the ability of enjoying some nice close-up shots. The 14 millimeter, or essentially the ultra wide, is going to be also another 50 megapixel camera, and that's going to be present in there. So a triple camera stack that kind of functions in the sense of giving us that telephoto, the ultra wide, and of course a really nice custom main sensor. Now this obviously is married to the front-facing camera that we have in here. This is a 32 megapixel camera. Let's go ahead and unlock the display. We'll jump back into Wi-Fi. Now what that means essentially is we have the ability of customizing our experience. So now out of the box, you have the ability, basically, let's go ahead and click the notification. We have the ability of turning on AI mode, and we also have the ability of picking out the style of photography. Typically out of the box, it does come in with Leica Authentic or Leica Vibrant. If you like your images a little bit more colorful, maybe more social media ready, as I like to say, I feel like the Leica Vibrant is going to give you those experiences. If you want to go a little bit more with that Leica Authentic experience, I think Leica Authentic will give you more of that natural color, the way the images are actually shown in front of you with that color science in there, and you're able to switch between them very easily by just pressing it once. It'll go from one to the other. Last but not least, the ability of obviously getting customizing voice shutter. We have motion tracking, of course, tilt shift, time shift here, action cam or assist cam in there. We're going to talk about that a little bit, because this actually enables me to use a different device, let's say a tablet, or let's say another Xiaomi device. I'm going to use the 13 Ultra in a little bit. And we're able to actually use that as the viewfinder and controller, meaning I can set my camera down and I can move away and use another device as the remote to control the camera. But we'll talk about that in a second. When it comes down to video, 4K 60 frames per second on the back, on the main shot, on the second shot, and even on the all the way, and even when we jump into the ultra wide. Keep in mind that if you switch over to the front-facing camera, 4K 60 stays around. The 8 Gen 3 will not disappoint, and Xiaomi is not going to disappoint you guys with the features that you get in here. Movie mode, very nice, and more of a, as you can see here, 4K 30 or 4K 24 frames per second. We have Pro mode for video, for images, photo mode, of course, portrait mode, document mode, and under more, a few additional options in there. Director mode is here. Long exposure built in here. Short film, of course, slow motion, time lapse, panorama, 50 megapixel, basically full resolution, night mode, and of course, you can edit the experience. But I wanted to show you guys real quick this function. This is something that I think many of us probably don't know that Xiaomi devices can do. So here, this is my 13 Ultra. I'm going to jump in real quick and go into director mode as well. You notice that at the top here, there's that little kind of like a broadcast function. I'll go ahead and click it on. I'm going to say that this is going to be the monitor. And this is going to be the main camera. I'm going to say start. I'm going to say start. Now what's going to happen here is this. You're noticing that the cameras are both on, but watch what happens here. This is the camera, and this is actually just pretty much just looking at what we're looking at here. And what I really like about this is I can actually do that nice little effect here. Whoa, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, I know I'm just having way too much fun. It's a little bit late as I'm recording this video before I leave for Barcelona. But one of the really nice functionalities here, let's say you're using a tablet, but also you want to be able to enjoy your main camera. This obviously will work reversely. I can use the 13 Ultra as the main camera, but I can actually control it because I can actually start the recording in here and I can stop the recording from the camera. And that was configured as we were connecting it. Once you're done, all you have to do is basically go back into the options, say stop. And once you stop that, obviously you go back to standard camera mode and everything goes back the same on your other device. Again, in this experience, obviously I would probably go with the 13 Ultra or even the 14 Ultra once I get my hands on that one. Hopefully check it out at MWC. But experiences like this will make shooting video on this device an absolute pleasure. Let's go ahead and go outside real quick and do a sample on the front facing and the main sensor on the back on the brand new Xiaomi 14. So we're at the museum here in Barcelona right before the launch event tomorrow. We're taking some pictures, enjoying some of the content capture opportunities that we have. I really appreciate the fact that we have a really good camera system, 4K, 60 on almost everything. We have obviously 8K 24 and some beautiful shots as I'm showing you guys from outside. It looks really, really nice. I think some of the capabilities that we have here and some of the, I guess the collaboration between Leica and Xiaomi are very much focused here, and I think it's very obvious. So I'm really hoping you like this, and I'm also hoping that the sound is actually pretty decent. There's a lot of people around me, so I'm hoping that it actually does really good subject isolation. Now, as you saw there, obviously for shooting video or even using an assisting device to be able to shoot the best experience that you want, especially if you're doing more of the solo producer type of a situation, this is absolutely a must-have feature, especially for people like us when we're creating content and we're in front of the camera, but we have to go in back of the camera to be able to start the video, record. This just gives us the ability of getting that experience entirely done in our hand. And again, more expensive cameras have to buy even more expensive equipment to do the same function. Now we're going to jump into the obviously stereo speaker experience here. This is Jumbo by NCS Release, our favorite song on the channel, to be able to demo the stereo speakers on the Xiaomi 14. Jack it up. Now, I will say that the audio definitely gets very loud and very clear. There is no distortion. There is no loss of quality when you're playing at 100%. And I think that just leverages the fact of what we're getting here. It's a very good sound experience. Again, put it in a smaller form factor. I'm saying smaller like as if this is a tiny phone, but the reality is it's mostly because the other guys are so much bigger that this makes it into a smaller device. So yes, it may be slightly smaller than the big guys. It definitely packs a really big punch. But let's talk a little bit about gaming. Let's go ahead and lower the volume. We're going to jump into Call of Duty. Actually, that's PUBG Mobile. Let's go ahead and jump in real quick into Call of Duty Mobile. Now, this is going to give us the experience to enjoy gaming on this device to the next level. We have that nice little side launcher, as we've seen before with HyperOS, the ability of boosting the performance for the frame rate, getting 90 frames per second on both Call of Duty Mobile and PUBG Mobile, recording screen as we're looking at some of those samples in there, a little bit of pop-up window in there, and of course, customizing the experience to just get the best gaming levels that you can expect. Now, the fact that the battery here is a 4610 milliampere may concern some people, but keep in mind, we are able to charge it very fast. Also, it's a smaller display, so therefore less power draw on the processor, or actually less power draw from the main battery that we have in here. The processor definitely doesn't run in full bore or full potential all the time. What you're looking at here is some samples of me playing Call of Duty Mobile and PUBG Mobile on this device. And again, it is absolutely fantastic in the sense of what you're able to do. The phone does get a little bit warm closer to the camera module, but I think that's what was mostly because of the wireless connection that was on. But it didn't get hot enough that it was basically uncomfortable. It was nice, it was easy to game, very good. And I would probably say that if you're looking for a smaller device that packs a lot of punch, this is not going to disappoint. So Xiaomi within the last few years has been releasing basically a standard model and a pro model. And last year they released the Ultra, but it came in a little bit later. This year, they're changing the recipe a little bit. At MWC, they're actually launching the global version of the 14 Ultra and the Xiaomi Standard Edition, which is the one that we have here, the smaller version. The Pro actually doesn't, or at least as of this point, we don't have a word if the Pro is coming internationally. Although if we're going to get the Ultra, I feel like that's the right recipe. Last year, both the Pro and the Ultra were featuring obviously the 1-inch sensor experience, and I feel like maybe there was a little bit of an overlap there. This year, they're focusing on that, and hopefully I'll have a video for you guys on that one very soon. But the biggest thing I'll probably say when it comes down to the 14 is the camera experience, the color science that we get here, the Leica calibration that we have in here, the custom sensor that we have in there. It is very clear how much Leica has been having influence and worked with Xiaomi to provide us this experience. And I'm happy to see that it actually comes in that smaller form factor version, which is the standard 14. Because typically we always look for the Pro and the Ultra. The 14 actually performs very nicely. And as you're seeing some of those images and videos, I actually started using this device here in the US as I'm recording this, but I actually took it with me going to the launch event. So by the time we see this video at the launch event, there's going to be a lot more content. And as the images I'm showing you right now are from here, from Barcelona, and basically documenting my experience with the 14. And I will say this, if you're looking for a smaller form factor flagship device for 2024, and you're a big fan of Xiaomi and the color science that they have with Leica, and of course what they've done in the last few years, I think the Xiaomi 14 will not disappoint. It's basically, again, a powerhouse packed into a smaller form factor, but still gives us everything that we expect and what we want from a smartphone that can deliver great experiences and of course in a more small, nimble kind of an experience. The images are absolutely fantastic. The color science is really, really nice. You're able to shoot movie experiences. You're able to connect the second devices to get that basically solo creator experience running. Again, you don't have to do it with another smartphone. You could use a tablet. And of course, as long as it's running Xiaomi, it should be basically more compatible with it. HyperOS in there runs really nice, Android 14. Hopefully we'll see some more features come in the near future. But out of the box, where we are right now, the 14 will not disappoint if you're looking for something a little bit smaller, but still packs a punch. Thank you very much for the support. Like and subscribe as usual. And of course, let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of the brand new Xiaomi 14? And what would you like to see on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra video when that's ready?